This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.
When I suit up fly, clients be looking like hi the guy. To beat to the beat, walking to the court in my new Gucci. Yeah, this is how it rolls.
Talk Radio 790 KBC. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber, a real workplace lawyer, but this show, it's comedy. We don't take any prisoners. Tonight we have a guest. Nothing unusual there. Tonight I don't know a thing about our guest. Not even his name. Not even a mouse. Nothing unusual there either.
My work problem is they don't appreciate me. There's so many things I do and I don't get no credit.
What a horrendous, inexplicable legal problem. Hell, that causes you to, what kind of a horrendous problem is causing you to appear on the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, heard from 7 to 8 every Sunday night on KBC?
This is a typical employee issue that in my 25 years of experience as a labor lawyer drives many to sue, but it doesn't rise to the level of something that can be sued for in court.
What if I wasn't promoted? Could I still sue for that?
What's that? You lost me.
Keep up, man. You might be lost in Westchester, but it'd take a whole lot more for me to be lost in Burbank. That's a tricky city.
Burbank? Doesn't Hollywood Way go all the way to Sun Valley? You might know there's a very important man living in Sun Valley.
Were you born yesterday? I guess this week. At any rate, everyone knows the Helms Foundation's $5 billion in funding and 14 inches of endowment sponsors this show.
I don't expect to be as big as Rhemus Helms or his thing. Not his cosplay actor or anything. I just wanted my employer to show me the slightest amount of gratitude. My name is Sedwick.
What's your name?
Why would you want to call me that?
Can I call you Sedgy?
I am not old and I don't make a lot of noise.
Back on the Lemur Connection, we had an old Seagate 5 1/4-inch floppy drive converter from the TRS-80 onto the Apple II Plus. It made lots of noise and we called it Sedgy.
I am not an insurance company.
Actually, Sedgwick is an insurance company. I'm not comfortable calling you by your name. Osedwick.
How do you spell the name of the insurance company?
How do you spell your name?
What? I'm missing something a few lines back.
There's nothing to have missed. I just want to know if you spell your name the same way as the insurance company.
S like Salacious, E like Elmo, G like Gigantor, W like in Wawa Pedal, I like in Indababa, C like in Cyclopean, and K as in Kadar.
Sorry, I got sort of confused with some of those words.
You confused my words? S like in Cenarius, E like in Elodia, G like in Cromwell, W as in weird, and K as in Kopi, like Kopi Luwak.
You know what? It might be easier if you just spelled your name without all those word references.
I can't do a thing like that.
Moving right along. How many employees work for your employer? The number of employees in a company is meaningful to an employee lawyer for a variety of reasons.
I am not privy to that figure.
An estimate would do.
There are so many divisions. They've got they got farmers who clean the poop, the overseas men in white coats who transport the product back to the port of Los Angeles. There are so many people and raccoons I don't even know, but a lot of them don't even work in my workplace.
Why is there a seemingly normal line of dialect in these scripts, and then all of a sudden there's some pugilist with a dirty heroin needle inserted into the script?
Word. How else should I have described the weeping women with the raccoon eyes?
Why are there weeping women with raccoon eyes where you work?
Those women won't work at the actual location where I work in my company.
This is confusing already. You work with a company with so many divisions you don't know who employs you. There are poop cleaners, men in white jackets who are overseas, and then weeping women with raccoon eyes. The women with raccoon eyes don't happen to be tough girls from the late 70s, do they? How all of this fits together, or maybe doesn't fit together into a steam room without steam, could take a minimum of 3 days and half a sleepless night that leads to a severe neck cramp, through which a tiny golden shower yellow pill and a big on teal-shaped F50 pill will be needed.
No, you have to substitute out the teal-shaped F150 pill for the Pantone 48C, a drab, dark brown pill called the opaque couche, which incidentally was determined to be the ugliest color during a 3-month survey.
I'd take the opaque couche pill the day Hawaii freezes over.
Mr. Gerber, snow levels appeared at elevations of 6,500 feet or higher in Hawaii this week.
I'm not talking about the opaque couche-colored pill or the golden showers-colored pill.
This one guy rubbed me the wrong way.
I don't like the sound of this at all.
He was always coming in between shifts, faster than Fast Eddie of the Speakeasy, filling up all them tiny zippers in lickety-split seconds.
Tiny zippers?
Zippers, not tiny URLs.
Thank God, I can't stand tiny URLs. There's nothing quaint about them.
They all acted like he's the hero of the Southeast LA. He can hit a few keys on a keyboard, mostly out of tune, and he can stuff 1,000 tiny zippers when the rest of us are breaking.
Well, this sounds familiar. We had a very famous goose on episode 38 who worked in...
Brendan Goose.
Yes, the last we heard. The next episode there was a walkout over the coffee. Not the coffee they were all obsessed with that cost $100 a pound and went into tiny zippers, but the coffee machine that wasn't adding light beer appropriately or something at this company?
The machine wasn't working. The decaf machine was, but on the machine everybody used, none of that frothy stuff came out. I think they call it Michelob, or maybe it's Blue Ribbon.
And then PETA BC the third went on strike. These guests keep calling it strict, or there was a shutdown or something, and all the production stopped at that company.
Mr. Gerber, Brendan Goose referred me.
That's not possible. All guests are furnished courtesy of referral by either Rhemus Helms or Fred Lyons, the truant officer I first met as a modem stud in the 80s. He was on episode 24. You can find the old episodes on YouTube under Karl Gerber, Workplace Lawyer, on workplacelawyer.org, all one word, even the KBC website for Karl Gerber.
What about the guy last week? You said you met him on a job site. I used to work with him.
Do you really think I build plonk rooms where people can drink jug wine and do snuff?
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I have to admit, he was my referral. Although he did know a lot of people I know, like Dumas, the disreputable defense lawyer who I'd let come on this show, just so the public can learn about bad employer defensing. He knew Nazuki, famous neuro-nurse who conceived Hanita Orchid Helms with Rhemus Helms when Dumas's office was used to be hers.
Stop dropping names. Yeah, we know you know all the famous people.
I'm just trying to bring the listeners up to date just in case they missed an episode.
What kind of loser would do a thing like that?
Trust me, it happens all the time.
Just because PETA BC the third can stuff 1,000 tiny zippers in 1,000 tiny pellets in a 10-minute period of time doesn't mean he's the top dog over at the company. I did lots of stuff too.
Wait a minute. Maybe you know the name of that company. We had 3 employees from that company and related companies on the same premise, and none of them knew the name of their employer. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, and we're talking about a company we've talked about before. And when we come back, we may actually find out the name of that company. We went through a whole program where no one knew the name of the company.
In Brazil, you can't get cherry soda cause they've got to fill that quota, and the way things are, I'll bet they never will.
Since 1993, the Employment Lawyers Group has been a consistent force in fighting for the rights of California employees. They've represented thousands of employees in cases in which they've lost their jobs, been sexually harassed, discriminated against at work, or owed wages individually or as a group such as a class action. The Employment Lawyers Group has maintained a high win rate and a serious record before the California courts. Please call 877-525-0700 for an experienced work lawyer. That's 877-525-0700. They have call takers standing by. Online, research the firm at worklawyerca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. If you hire the Employment Lawyers Group, your legal problem becomes theirs to solve.
When I suit up, fly, climbs me looking like hi the guy. To beat to the beat.
Talk Radio 790 KBC. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, and I'm really a licensed employee lawyer. And our conversation we're having with Sedwick tonight is not different than a normal conversation with a new client. A lot of times you don't know much about the story, or they're referred by someone. You learn more. So Sedwick, tell me more of what's going on here.
What it did for me is my employer sent me a W-2 for 2018.
Oh, God, we've been waiting for that. The name of the employer has to be on the W-2. I've been waiting for Brendan Goose to call me once he got his W-4 or 2 or whatever it is.
Well, he won't be getting a W-4.
He won't?
No, because he said his got lost in the mail.
Well, if they admit it got lost in the mail, they have an obligation to send another.
Who's he gonna talk to? Do you actually think they have a helpful Honda person working there? If they had a human resource person on premise, that person would be constantly harassed, bothered. She'd have to disclose the name of the employer sooner or later. There could be a riot.
I'm kind of thinking you know the name of the employer. I don't know why, but I can read a witness like I can read a first grade reading book. It's all about phonetics. M-A and then N, but next time a P at the end or an A-T, it spells a word, man, mat, map.
Exactly. Eventually, you get the MAC words, like Big Mac, fries to go, Big Mac, macroglobulinemia, macroramphoceti, and even macrophyte.
Macrotripus, like the feathers as an ostrich. Organic ostrich, soy mud indigo, organic ostrich with 90% feather fill, macrame from the 70s, maculation.
See? My vocab is 70% more expanded than PHABC the Third's.
Most native-speaking adults average between 20,000 to 35,000 words. The real question is how many words does a certain lawyer who minces words for comedic purposes know?
I read adults learn an average of a new word every 2 days. The same article claimed they learn 6,000 new words a year. There's a lot of bull hinky on the internet.
Could you spill the kidney beans and tell us the name of your employer?
Mr. Garbanzo, I don't work there anymore.
So what? I'm literally dying to know the name of this employer. Ready to move into my pre-sold, oversold cemetery slot on some wall I don't own.
I rather not say the name of the employer.
This is a piece of advice to people who might call me at 1-877-525-0700 to report the underpayment of some wage at turnkey vacation rentals, or that they were illegally charged a rent credit at FPI management. If they're calling about those existing cases, maybe this doesn't apply. But when a new client caller calls in and refuses to say who they work for no good reason, nothing will come out of it. Literally nothing.
Why is that?
It's a confidential call. Besides the call being confidential, if you call 877-525-0700 for an employee lawyer, there could be a conflict of interest. Lawyers can't give advice about companies if they have a conflict of interest.
I don't think you have a conflict of interest, but then again, I worked for a really big company.
It's the lawyer's call whether they reasonably believe they have a conflict of interest. They have to check. They know what the rules are. Clients don't. Regardless, do you really think lawyers are jumping to talk to people who don't give them enough information? People who don't trust the lawyer, who are being hopelessly vague? If it's a busy day, it's sort of like, let's move on and take the next call, or finish the brief, or get back to the deposition, or use the bathroom on the break instead of talking to someone who won't even tell the lawyer who they work for.
I never thought about it like that. How long of a bathroom break do you get anyway at a deposition?
Well, that depends. We have bathroom breaks, plus we have to talk to our client being deposed on those breaks. We have calls to return. We might find an exhibit. Look, Sedgy, certain laws only apply to companies with certain numbers of employees. It's not like somebody like me at 877-525-0700 is representing companies, or will call the company up without an authorization and report an illegal act. Who are we supposed to report it to anyway?
Well, I was reading this interesting story in the LA Times about a counterfeiter. The guy died in a battle with Homeland Security. They are actually the branch of the government that goes after counterfeiters. Anyway, the guy's lawyer called the feds and told them he wanted to report the situation because he thought his clients wouldn't go down without a fight.
Right. That's the crime fraud exception to the attorney-client privilege. It's also a situation where the lawyer thinks the client will commit great bodily harm. The same applies to doctors. The doctor-patient privilege ends, and the doctor has a mandatory duty to report their belief that their patient is going to go out and cause great bodily harm.
Man, I wouldn't even hurt a civet cat. Not even if it had 1001 Kopi Luwak cherries stuck in her intestines.
Well, I hope you'd at least help the civet cat if it was that blocked up.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
I'm obviously a big fan of felines, too, the lemur and all.
Civet cats are not actually cats. They are closely related to weasels and mongooses. See?
Oh my, that's a majestic African civet cat, long-bodied, almost like a lemur, very long tail. Yes, I do believe the lemur may have been related to a civet cat.
From what I've heard, the lemur was a cat who lost his tail.
Oh yes, his tail merely fell off one day. That happens when a particularly lusty lemur reaches a certain age.
Fred Lines told me it was a car accident.
Did Fred Lines refer you to this show?
I thought you knew there was a joint accreditation team. Both Rhemus Helms and Fred Lines have to improve, accredit, and sponsor each of your guests.
That explains why my guests have been so loony.
Don't you think my job was important too?
Are you a veterinarian?
I was stationed in Indonesia. The Luwak cats are there, not Africa.
I've read these civet cats are fed an enormous number of coffee beans and hope one comes out that can be used.
Mr. Gerber, I was really a spy for PETA. Regardless, unblocking the civet cats was a humane, necessary task.
I don't even want to get into knowing how you can unblock a civet cat.
They knew my function was absolutely critical to the operation. Blockage equals no poop. Unblocked means a fermented civet cat Kopi Luwak cherry coffee bean. 149 for 100 grams of Kopi Luwak coffee.
Well, now I'm beginning to understand the gravity of the task you performed.
It doesn't stop there.
Oh, of course not. There's the whole distribution stream with the tiny pallets and tiny zippers and middle management like the strange Jamaican woman we had in episode 40.
Have you heard the expression eye of the eagle?
Have you heard, say, Teddy Roosevelt being a rough rider, walk softly, and carry a big stick?
I do believe Theodore Roosevelt was a professor at Pierce.
No, the 26th president of Los Angeles Valley College.
Makes sense.
Not really. LAVC wasn't founded until 49, sorry.
The Jacu bird has an excellent eye for the Jacu bean.
I've got an excellent eye for nutty gas. I don't have to look very far when I'm doing this show.
Why do you think this is a joke? The Jacu bird's excrement makes for some of the priciest coffee in the world, according to Lauren Holmes.
Oh, yes, the wife of Oliver Wendell Holmes, a Supreme Court justice from Massachusetts.
Wasn't he the professor at Valley College?
No, associate professor. I mean associate justice.
I am sure he was the acting chief justice at their student body in 1930.
LAVC was but a figment in Track 1000's mind in 1930. Van Nuys High School, from which they used to be across, did, however, exist.
Oh, you're a Valley College historian. Anyway, they had workers earning $50 USD a day for finding Jacu droppings.
You know, a lot of this has been covered on earlier episodes. You really should catch up on the KBC website under Karl Gerber or Karl Gerber on their YouTube. We are streaming live now if you want to tune in, or even workplacelawyer.org, all one word, which is just about this show. If you want to talk to me about an employment issue, I can be reached at 877-525-0700. That's 877-525-0700 for serious conversation, if I could say it. And that's 877-525-0700 for a sedate, serious conversation with a real lawyer. When we come back, we'll find out more about this crazy work environment on the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KBC.
Extra cups to fill. They've got an awful lot of coffee in Brazil. You can't get serious.
Since 1993, the Employment Lawyers Group has been a results-oriented law firm whose goal is to get the client what they deserve. They've represented thousands of California employees who've lost their jobs, been sexually harassed, subjected to employment discrimination, or were owed wages on an individualized or group basis, such as a class action. They have a high rate of success. There are few situations involving employment law that they have not confronted. At the forefront of employee rights, they're often the first employee law firm to confront a new legal issue. For an experienced employment lawyer, call 877-525-0700. That's 877-525-0700. They have call takers standing by. Online, read more about the firm at employeelawca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. Make your work problem theirs to solve.
We've got 2020 vision on 2020 AM 790 KABC.
When I suit up fly, clients be looking like hi the guy. To beat to the beat, walking to the court in my new Gucci. Yeah, this is how it rolls.
Talk Radio 790 KBC. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I am Karl Gerber, and there's no hoax here about the Jacu birds. They're real, and so is Kopi Luwak coffee, and so is the law we talk about on this show. Before we broke, we were talking to Sedwick about some daily rates being paid to some workers to find Jacu droppings, and daily rates can be legal if they pay at least minimum wage for every hour worked.
Mr. Gerber, this is Brazil. Our competitor paid us 1 U.S. nickel for every Jacu dropping. They gave out dime bags. It was clear the droppings contained Jacu beans.
They paid their workers in marijuana? How unlawful!
Just a bag full of dimes.
Here, have some dimes.
Oh, why are you throwing dimes at me?
That's how it used to be in the 80s.
Those must have been some weird times.
Oh, they were. The Lemur brothers, with the help of Fred Lyons from the LAUSD, bested a child-molesting modem user who threw dimes at boys who did pull-ups on the diving board.
Wow. Fred Lyons is still talking about that bust.
You worked in Brazil, too?
Yes, sir. Those were some skilled workers out there. They could detect the Jacu and poop from a kilometer away. If you ain't done it before, it's like looking for an insulin needle in a pile of rotting fish in the sea near the Great Plastic Mass. That's global warming for you.
Well, that is some skill. Of course, I have sailed by the Great Plastic Mast.
How much do you think a kilo goes for?
You know, the Lemur brothers never really infiltrated the drug scene, although during my early days looking for material, especially when I was writing Leeches, Losers, and Lunatics and attending LAVC one summer, I learned a little bit about the marijuana trade.
The Jacu beans, those that are excreted at least, don't go for $25K like a kilo of coke or anything.
Say, if I wanted to score some Jacu pooped coffee, how much would that set me back?
$32.50 for 60 kilos.
Well, that's not that much. You know, high-end coffee can go for over $400 for 60 kilos.
We're talking $3,250.
For our non-metric listeners, I believe a kilo is 2.2 pounds. We're talking about 246 an elbow. I mean a pound. That's more than Kopi Luwak pooped out coffee goes for. That goes for like $100 a pound or something like that.
You drinking Kopi Luwak? Shouldn't you be?
Of course I'm not drinking coffee beans. It came out of animal excrement. Besides, I have certain moral issues with the cute little civet cats being caged up for their poop and all.
Look, those Jacu birds are experts at only picking the best beans. They digest super fast.
That's the opposite of the civet cat. You want a fermented taste because it took them a long time to digest that Kopi Luwak bean.
Right on, right on. You know your coffee poop stuff.
Look, as a legitimate show host of a very serious show, I have to know my facts.
With the Jacu, there isn't any stomach acid or animal proteins. It's a real refined taste.
I don't care how refined it might be, Beethoven or Mozart. I ain't eating no pooped out coffee.
Hey, man.
Sort of strange question, but I have to ask. How do you unblock a Jacu bird? I presume you did the same thing with the Jacu bird as you did with the civet cats?
No need.
Thanks for saving the listeners of those gory details.
No, I didn't have to unblock the Jacu bird. Don't you remember? They quickly digest the Jacu bean.
Then what was your role in Ray the Jacu bird?
It's all gotta be organic for the Jacu bird. Their vegetarian diet is one of the reasons they digest so quickly. But then some idiot comes along who has been listening to Dr. Zhivago.
Oh, no.
I don't know if it was the man or the woman or the swing shift of Dr. Zhivago, but they get the owner of the company thinking a little seed color pellet-shaped pill will speed up their digestion even sooner. Some fool in the barnstormer drops those pills all over the soil of Brazil. Millions of those pills. Paid Dr. Zhivago about 100 mil. Anyway, it didn't take the Jacus long to stop pooping. Get all stopped up. Half the population died. I was in charge of the search and rescue teams, tampooming all of those.
Dead birds? Oh, wait a minute. There's no legitimate purpose for a tampoume.
Yes, there is. They worked wonders picking up all of the barnstorm pills.
Something is wrong here.
You're telling me? That sound engineer back there, she's putting Kopi Luwak laughing gas into our ears.
You know, I've had a few guests. They've shown up here and went into the hysterics over the knobs.
The knobs? Yes. The knobs.
And levers. Different sound engineers control back there. Sedwick?
Sorry about that.
Are you trying to divert things? There's something wrong here. Are you an impostor?
Of course, I was for PETA.
No, for Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M. You just gave a plug. Oh, sorry, bad word for a tampoume. There's no legitimate purpose for a vacuum marketing at trimming ever-growing berber toupees that are actually nylon and using the vacuum to also perform abortions on an as-needed basis.
Oh, he's not marketing it as an abortion device anymore, with the person whose 3 hair plugs he's cutting these days.
You have information. Too much information. Come to think of it, who is the owner of the company with the tiny pallets and pooped out coffee beans?
That's what I don't know. I don't know. When I got Brendan Goose's paycheck, there was only a question mark for name of employer.
Guess?
I don't have to guess.
You were employed by Guess Jeans?
No. Subsidiary of Bed Bath and before. I can't say.
Get it out, man. The listeners, they need to know.
They're owned by Adin Elvira. Now I said it.
Was Rhemus Helms aware of that fact all along? Adin and Elvira put that thrice plugged occupier up to getting a resin mold of Rhemus Helms thing the very day I was sworn in as an attorney, November 23rd, 1993.
There's more to these episodes than meets the feet.
Yes, there is. Myron Alfombra is an evil person with a scheme to rule the world with one sanitary napkin per menstrual cycle plan. And now we know Adin and Elvira not only infringed Rhemus Helm's moneymaker, but they are engaging in animal cruelty, searching high and low on Earth's floor for secreted coffee beans from Indonesia to Africa to Brazil.
I assure you, I have been thoroughly vented and screened by the Helms Foundation and Red Lines.
Well, the Helms Foundation does have $5 billion in funding and 14 inches in endowment, so it is possible they have the resources to vet my guess, but Fred Lines would never have been anywhere without the help of the Lemire brothers.
I can help you bring down Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting and spelled with M in M. We'll do it together. I just think if they didn't take me seriously and added an Elvira poop division.
Heaven help us. When there's a disgruntled employee, there's no telling how far the disgruntled employee will go.
We will restore world order. Chapstick will get the database back. North and South Korea will be reunited. The guy with the hair plugs will go to jail once and for all.
Excuse me, but we just lost all of Ben Shapiro's listeners.
They can't take both sides of the equation.
I hate to change the subject, especially under these circumstances, but can we get back to the excrement?
Are you criticizing somebody else's views?
I'm referring to your job that involved different issues with excrement that happen to relate to overpriced coffee, which I would never drink due to where it passed through.
Yeah, many people would spend 2 years of their life unclogging civet cats and scouring the earth for Jacu droppings. And those stupid pills sold by a talk radio doctor.
I can't say I've ever met an employee with your particular skill set.
That's because all the employees with my skill set are Indonesia or Brazil.
Then you're admitting you are not the most important cog in the organization. Perhaps PJ, BC, the third is. Oh, right. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I am a real workplace lawyer, and if you want to call me about a real case, it will be taken seriously. I can be reached at 877-525-0700. Once again, 877-525-0700. That's 877-525-0700. If you want to complain about the show, that's the number to call, too. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. We'll be back in a minute and find out more about this strange coffee scheme.
Soda, cause they've got to fill that quota. And the way things are, I'll bet they never will. They've got a zillion tons of coffee in Brazil.
The Employment Lawyers Group is a results-driven law firm whose goal is to get the right result for the client. They have represented employees with a high rate of success since 1993 throughout the state of California. They're only paid and if they are able to collect money from the employer, so there's not any upfront fees or costs in order to hire them. They have represented thousands of employees who've been terminated from their jobs, sexually harassed, subjected to employment discrimination, or are owed wages in an individualized or group basis such as a class action. Call 877-525-0700. That's 877-525-0700. They have operators standing by. They can also be reached at employeelawca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. Hire them and make your workplace problem theirs to solve.
Walk into the court in my new Gucci.
Talk Radio, 790 KBC, the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber, and I'm still a real workplace lawyer. We've got Sedwick here, and I want you to carry on with your problems now that we know you're a disgruntled employee.
My training, my skill set, even my job description called for a lot more.
We get all that. The assembly lines back up at the grindhouse would come to a climax, followed by a plateau in activities, but the employer wasn't required to host an annual Sedwick Day.
The least they could do was call it Operation Unclog by Sedwick.
A whole lot of employees don't feel appreciated. Never get to meet the big wigs. There isn't a labor law requiring employee appreciation.
Nonetheless, I gotta quit that place.
Why quit? You're tired of excrement? We have to live with it these days.
Right about now, I want to waste a half hour looking for an email on my phone that either I won't find, it won't say what I say it says, or it will be legally irrelevant.
Oh, go right ahead. There's nothing like boring the listeners. Maybe we can all do a bunch of nervous laughs that are supposed to sound like we're having fun.
Sorry, I am not a big fan of talk radio.
It's been a good 4 hours here. I'm kind of tired of reading up on Civet excrement on my phone. Did you find anything?
I've got this. It's not what I was looking for.
Let me see. Dear Human Resources and Comptroller, it is my understanding employee year-end W-2 forms were due by the end of January. Instead of sending me a W-2, you intentionally sent me Brendan Goose's W-2, which violates Article 1, Section 1 of the California Constitution because it invaded his privacy. Yes, that's true, Sedwick. Besides, that unlawful action, the W-2 had a question mark on it instead of the name of the employer. Long letter here. My direct deposits never mentioned who my employer was because I was on a sub rosa mission with Molly Machete in Indonesia aimed at taking down a guerrilla organization that was selling civet cat fur for Rhemus Helm sex toys so the gorillas could commit non-sexual buggery via cyanide capsule. This is weird, Cedric. I became privy to the name of my employer, notwithstanding it was a violation of California Labor Code 226 to fail to put the employer's name on my pay stub. That's true. It also violated numerous state and federal laws not to furnish me with the W-2 by the end of January when Myron Alfombra was supposed to cease and desist in selling us ever-growing berber toupees. Oh, yeah. My grandfather had been admiring the coral reef model. Ugh. Yes, Sedwick. I was horror-stricken when J.O. wore that orange, bright pink, and white model here 2 episodes back. The letter continues, because you did not get your W-2.
I couldn't get Grandpops the coral reef ever-growing berber toupee. That's what I put in the letter. I also put in I knew Adin and Elvira couldn't pay any employer taxes as a result of my work for them.
Well, you clearly committed. You complained about statutory prohibited practices, clearly.
I gave them a week to get me the W-2 and pay past due employer taxes for me, or I would quit.
Well, since it's been more than 2 weeks and you still don't have a valid W-2 and your employer still has not paid their employer taxes, are you going to quit?
Absolutely.
I'd say not having your Social Security number, Social Security contributions paid by your employer, that's intolerable. So is their failure to furnish you a W-2. It's a privacy violation that it doesn't affect you if you got Brendan Goose's, but it's still illegal, and this might be a case for you being forced to quit.
The real reason I quit was because I couldn't get a tax refund and buy my grandpops the coral reef ever-growing berber toupee.
I'm not sure a jury would sympathize with that one.
Would we have to show a picture?
Even if we didn't, Adin Elvira would. They'd try to make you look like a fool.
If my employer acted lawfully, none of this would have happened.
I suppose the reason for quitting, not getting a W-2, might be intolerable. It's just the jury will hear that what you wanted to do with the tax refund.
Come on. Grandpops is a 91-year-old man. I think he looked cute in the coral reef toupee. Maybe a herringbone pattern. No, that's a sporty pattern.
Would Grandpops happen to be out on a golf course sporting that orange, white, and hot pink model?
That would have been nice.
California employees might be able to quit and sue if they quit due to objectively intolerable working conditions. Not being able to buy a horrid toupee is not in itself intolerable. Being unable to file your income taxes because your employer refuses to provide a pay stub should rise to the level of intolerability. So does an employer refusing to pay their share of an employee's taxes.
They're claiming they sent my W-2 electronically and to an address of mine in Indonesia.
When did you last work in Indonesia?
I was still unclogging Civet cats through the summer of 2018. Then they had me organizing search parties for Jacu poop.
Did your employer have an updated address for you?
They always had my address in Downey. They had me in temporary housing on a Civet farm. In Brazil, we weren't exactly in Rio getting butt implants and being drugged for our kidneys.
Did the employer provide housing in Brazil?
If you can call it housing. We were living in tents, treated for wilderness mildew. I must say those tents were much better than the unit I rented over at Mildew Management Building when I used to live in the Palms.
Well, if they send you a W-2, which I'm not sure they did, they had no reason to send it to Indonesia. However, you being assigned to work outside the country raises some questions.
Does it count that I interviewed at their local corporate office in Cerritos and got trained at the warehouse in Southeast LA?
Well, if you were treated as a California employee and were managed by people in California, California law applies.
Man, I was out in the wilderness for weeks at a time without a cell signal.
Did you have management who were in California?
The only thing they did for me in California was to F up my health insurance, putting me through a third-party claims administrator when they got dysentery.
This is one of those questions I hate to ask, but was the unclogging process completely sanitary?
Ooh, of course not. There's nothing sanitary about scavenging for Jacu excrement either.
How exactly did you get into this whole profession?
Word of mouth.
Had you done any unclogging before this job?
Not really. When I was a kid going to college, I worked for a contractor, Jamie, unclogging. Jaime. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sewer lines over at some local congressman's office in Bakersfield.
Yeah, I didn't know Jaime from the last show even worked in Bakersfield.
Oh, yeah. This was after I transferred to California State University, Bakersfield. This congressman was some bigwig, but his sewers were so clogged they needed a general contractor to see the unclogging operations on a daily basis.
Oh, just out of interest, did that congressman's first name happen to be Kevin?
That's it!
Where do we go from here? Is it down to the lake, I fear? Ay.
No, the sewage kept spilling out in the Kern River.
Well, I won't be fishing for donuts there.
I think I am going to go back to Bakersfield in a couple years.
Well, not for donut fishing, I presume.
Not even. I'm going to ride that 300 bill plus high-speed railroad to Merced. What will I do when I get to Merced?
That beats me. But on another note, when are you going to quit?
I've got to move on and find a new brand of tissues. It's not all about Kimberly Clark.
Well, one thing for sure, I hope you're out of the unclogging and excrement business.
Absolutely. I am being shipped out to the border in Texas. There's only 300 black-footed ferrets left in this world. With my Civet cat experience, I should be able to work wonders for any black-footed ferrets who happen to be clogged or confused by that thing they might build.
Well, good luck with the ferrets. Hopefully we haven't isolated any listeners because comedy takes no prisoners, folks. And we try to cover employment law, and we try to cover things about names of employers that have to be on pay stubs and people having to get their W-2s at the end of the year and what qualifies for quitting in California because it's a difficult standard. It has to be intolerable. And it sounds like Sedwick not getting a W-2, that's intolerable. He can't file his income taxes. But the truth and the way the real legal cases happen is he wanted that money to go buy the coral reef toupee for his grandfather. And, you know, we all know how bad a herringbone, ever-growing berber toupee that's actually nylon looks. And in the real world of cases, Adin Elvira, that employer, would have paraded pictures of that toupee up on the board at court, and the jury would see, oh man, this guy just wanted to buy this atrocious looking toupee, and that's not a reason to quit a job. That's not an intolerable working condition. And the jury gets all mixed up between, well, hey, you know, this employer is violating the law, sending out pay stubs with question marks, saying pay stubs are the wrong person. But this guy, who I want to have sympathy for him because he just wants to buy an ever-growing Berber toupee that we've heard about endlessly on this show, and we know it's a monstrosity. So there you go. All right, so I am a real lawyer, and I'm licensed in California, Texas, Washington, D.C., and Massachusetts. I've been doing labor law for over 25 years, only representing employees. If you want to call me, 877-525-0700 for some righteous representation. That's 877-525-0700 for real employment discrimination lawyer. 877-525-0700 for a real class action lawyer about unpaid wages of various sorts. This show is heard every Sunday night from 7 to 8 on this station, and it also can be caught up on YouTube under Karl Gerber, or the KBC website under Karl Gerber, or even workplacelawyer.org, which is just about the show, not about the legal practice. So thank you for listening. I look forward to you listening next week, and hopefully no one's getting offended, but comedy takes no prisoners. This is Talk Radio 790 KBC, the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show.
Get cherry soda, 'cause they've got to fill that quota. And the way things are, I'll bet they never will. They've got a zillion.
This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.